Good evening and welcome to Sunset News. As always, we bring you news, community stories, economics, weather and sports. I am Diana Master. In the news tonight. Two companies linked through the business interests of August 26 holding company board chair Brigadier General Philemon Shafashike have been disqualified from a Ministry of Health and Social Services construction tender worth nearly 200 million Namibian dollars. The disqualification affected August 26 Construction, a subsidiary of August 26 Holding Company, and Bluebird Trading Enterprise, a private company in which Shafashike is a shareholder and director. The matter drew public attention after affirmative repositioning leader Job Amupanda questioned whether a conflict of interest existed when both companies submitted bids for the same tender. According to procurement authorities, the two companies were disqualified after it was determined that their commercial relationship made them ineligible to compete against one another. Responding to the allegations, Shafashike said he was unaware that August 26 Construction had also submitted a bid. He told Namibian Sun that he only became aware of the company's participation after both bids had already been disqualified because of the commercial link. Getting into our next story, Mines and Energy Minister Modestus Amundse says he was unaware of the extensive corporate links between global commodities trader Vitol and companies already operating in Namibia's fuel sector, despite claims those relationships could give the company control of up to 60% of the country's fuel market. Speaking to Namibian Sun, Amundse said he was not aware of the relationship, adding that the companies being referred to are Namibian businesses. He also denied having any knowledge of Vitol's long-standing commercial ties within Namibia's downstream petroleum industry. His comments follow an investigation by Namibian Sun, which found that Vitol's presence in Namibia extends well beyond the government's 3-month emergency fuel supply agreement. According to the investigation, the global commodities trader has commercial interests spanning wholesale, fuel imports, storage facilities, and retail operations. The issue has also raised concern within the fuel industry. Fuel and Franchise Association of Namibia President Michael Ludeke warned that Vitol's role as the country's temporary bulk fuel supplier could ultimately give the company control of around 60% of Namibia's fuel market. While Ludeke acknowledged that the government's decision helps ease procurement challenges and secure fuel supplies, he cautioned that such market concentration could have significant implications for competition in the downstream petroleum sector. He added that fuel retailers are unlikely to feel an immediate impact as they continue to source their fuel from wholesalers. However, Ludeke maintained that if Vitol secures Namibia's long-term fuel supply, the company could control as much as 60% of the local market. Getting into our next story, Namibia is facing a deepening road safety crisis, with new figures revealing a sharp increase in road deaths, despite encouraging signs that crashes and injuries are beginning to decline. The statistics were presented to the National Council Standing Committee on Transport, Infrastructure and Housing on Monday, painting a concerning picture of the country's road safety record. Figures for the 2025-2026 period show that road crashes increased slightly from 3,150 to 3,221, representing a 2% rise. While injuries declined by 7.44%, fatalities rose dramatically by 13.05%, with the number of people killed on Namibia's roads increasing from 452 to 511. Minister of Works and Transport Veiko Nekundi described the situation as unacceptable, saying the statistics represent lives lost and families left grieving. Statistics do not lie. Families continue to bury their loved ones. Everything must change. This cannot be business as usual, the minister was quoted as saying. Despite the alarming annual figures, there are signs of improvement this year. As of 28 June 2026, road crashes had declined by 9.89% compared to the same period last year, while injuries were down 7.64% and fatalities had fallen by 7.51%. However, transport officials have cautioned that while the latest figures are encouraging, the gains remain fragile and sustained efforts will be needed to improve road safety and prevent more lives from being lost on Namibia's roads. Getting into our next story, the One Economy Foundation has reduced its workforce after losing one of its major funding partners, resulting in a 25% cut to its operating budget. The organization has retrenched 12 permanent employees, reducing its staff complement from 37 to 25. Executive Director Pauline Thomas Kahupi says the decision reflects the growing financial pressures facing non-profit organizations worldwide and is not linked to staff performance. Kahupi acknowledged the impact of the restructuring, saying losing colleagues is difficult, but stressed that affected employees were given a 3-month exit period instead of immediate termination. They will also receive psychosocial support, financial well-being assistance, career transition services, and preferential consideration for future vacancies within the organization. Now, despite the funding setback, the foundation says its priority remains protecting frontline programs that support young people, including its mobile outreach services. However, some advocacy events have been cancelled, while planned expansion into new communities will be delayed. Kahupi says the organization remains committed to its mission of creating opportunities, improving well-being, and helping young people build better futures. She added that while funding constraints may reduce the number of new beneficiaries reached, the foundation intends to maintain the quality of its services as it continues seeking additional funding. And that brings us to the end of our top stories. After the break, we bring you our Community Talk segment.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises, from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative Sport Tourism.
From the heart of the continent to its farthest horizons, Africa awakens with stories that shape our world. This is Africa Good Morning, your window into the pulse of a dynamic continent. I'm Ashwin Berry, here to deliver the latest news, sharp insights, and the vibrant spirit of Africa. Every weekday, we dive into the headlines, uncover untold stories, and spotlight the people driving change. Plus, stay ahead with daily weather forecasts and economic updates to navigate your week with confidence. With direct coverage from our correspondents on the ground, we bring you in-depth access to Africa's beating heart. Mondays, Mike Situla reports from Zambia. Africa Good Morning. Tuesdays, Talent Gore covers Zimbabwe. Wednesdays, Rorisang Mokojwe brings Botswana's news. Dumela, Rorisang.
Thank you very much, Ashwin, for having me right here on Africa Good Morning. It is always a pleasure to be here with you all.
Thursdays, Ari Hogarth tackles South Africa.
Yes, very good morning, Ashwin and Aina. Yes, a good atmosphere.
And Fridays, we focus on Namibia's bold narratives. From thriving cities to rugged plains, our team is there, capturing the rhythm of a continent on the rise. Africa Good Morning is your essential start. News, weather, economics, and more.
Tonight on our Community Talk segment, a group of young leaders from Walvis Bay is set to represent Namibia on the international stage after being selected for the prestigious Youth Ambassadors Africa Program 2026 in the United States. The delegation consists of Valencia Sinvula, Siradine Asoba, Jonita Havanas, Joella Nunga, Arvo Ngishililwa, Nicodemus Nambuli, Susan Namwenya, and Marielle Thompson, all members of the Walvis Bay Junior Council. Accompanying the group is their mentor Shirley Chaveonja, the personal assistant to the mayor and coordinator of the Junior Council. The delegation departed for the United States on the 7th of July and is expected to return on the 31st of July. The fully funded 3-week exchange program organized by the United States Department of State brings together young leaders from across sub-Saharan Africa. During their visit, participants will travel to Alabama, New York, Vermont, and Washington, D.C., where they will take part in activities focused on civic education, leadership development, democratic values, community services, and cultural exchange. Upon returning home, the young ambassadors are expected to apply the knowledge and skills gained through the program by leading community projects and initiatives aimed at making a positive impact in Namibia. In our next story, the German embassy in Windhoek is supporting the Speak Up project against gender-based violence together with the Ombeja Yehinga organization, also known as OYO. The embassy is providing 84,432,000 euros, equivalent to about 1.59 million Namibian dollars, through its Human Rights Fund. As part of the project, the Oyo dance troupe recently visited the Urongo region, where it presented a program on gender-based violence to young people. After the performances, the issues raised were discussed with the teenagers. A youth counselor was also present to offer immediate psychosocial support to young people who needed it. The project aims to encourage young people not to remain silent about violence, but to seek help and stand up for a safer environment. The embassy stressed that real change begins when people take responsibility together. That brings us to the end of our Community Talk segment. After the break, we bring you the news headlining the world of economics. Tonight in economic news, the Namibia University of Science and Technology has launched a fundraising initiative aimed at strengthening student financial support through the NUST Student Welfare Fund. The initiative, launched in partnership with Letsego Namibia, will culminate in the NUST and Letsego Fund Day, bringing together corporate partners, alumni, staff, students, and members of the public for a day of paddle, seven-a-side football, networking, and fundraising. Organized by the Alumni and NUST Foundation, the event seeks to raise funds for students facing temporary financial hardship while promoting wellness, teamwork, and collaboration between the university and the private sector. Speaking at the launch, Director of the Alumni and NUST Foundation, Kaitira Kanji, said the Student Welfare Fund provides short-term financial assistance to students whose studies are at risk because of unexpected financial challenges. He said the fund helps bridge gaps where existing financial assistance may not be enough, ensuring deserving students can continue their education without interruption. Kanji also called on the corporate community to support the initiative, saying it presents an opportunity to make a meaningful investment in student success and Namibia's future workforce. Supporting the initiative, Letsego Namibia announced a sponsorship of 50,000 Namibian dollars. Stakeholder engagement business partner Talishi Verna said investing in education creates lasting benefits for families, communities, and the country's future. The Nast and Letshego Fun Day will take place on the 15th of August at the Live Paddle Courts in Windhoek. Football teams of up to 10 players can enter for $3,500 Namibian per team, while paddle teams of 2 can register for $3,000 Namibian, with winning teams competing for cash prizes. And now let's take a look at the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 21.69 against the British pound, 18.53 to the euro, 16.20 against the US dollar, and 2 Namibian dollars and 38 cents buys you 1 Chinese yuan. Gold and copper took dips of 0.02% and 0.04% respectively, while platinum and Brent crude oil took upturns of 1.03 and 2.03% respectively. Stick around after the break, we bring you the latest in international news.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises, from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative Sport Tourism.
Headlining our international news segment, a Zimbabwean High Court has ruled in favor of the liquidators of Namibia's failed SME bank, clearing the way for them to recover assets in Zimbabwe and enforce judgments previously obtained in Namibian courts. The ruling was handed down by Justice Siyabona Musitu in an application brought by SME Bank's joint final liquidators David John Bruni and Ian Robert McLaren against the Master of the High Court and Midbank Limited. The liquidators asked the court to recognize Namibia's insolvency proceedings, confirm the appointment as the bank's liquidators in Zimbabwe, and authorize them to administer SME Bank assets located there. They also sought permission to register and enforce judgments issued by Namibian courts. Midbank opposed the application, arguing that it was legally flawed, time-barred, and that Namibia was not a designated country for the registration of foreign judgments under Zimbabwean law. However, Justice Musitu dismissed all of the preliminary objections before ruling in favor of the liquidators. The court recognized the winding up proceedings of SME Bank as foreign main insolvency proceedings, confirmed Bruni and McLaren as the bank's recognized liquidators in Zimbabwe, and authorized them to administer the bank's assets in the country while pursuing the enforcement of Namibian court judgments. Justice Musitu also rejected Midbank's argument that the supporting documents had not been properly authenticated, ruling that the notarized affidavits met Zimbabwe's legal requirements and did not require further authentication through the Zimbabwean embassy. The ruling marks a significant development in the ongoing efforts to recover assets following the collapse of Namibia's SME Bank. And now let's take a look at the weather predictions. Windhoek can expect clear conditions, minimum temperatures of 8 degrees Celsius and maximum temperatures of 22 degrees Celsius. Katima Mulilo will be cold, with minimum temperatures expected to be at 9 degrees Celsius and maximum temperatures to be at 27 degrees Celsius. Rehoboth is expected to be the coldest, with minimum temperatures dropping to 7 degrees Celsius and maximum temperatures at 22 degrees Celsius. Henties Bay is expected to be hottest, with maximum temperatures of 32 degrees Celsius, and the temperatures will drop to 18 degrees Celsius. Stick around. Right after the break, we'll be back with our sports news courtesy of the Sport Wrap Desk. Mornings just got better, Namibia. From the latest headlines to the hottest trends, we're bringing you the conversations that matter.
That's right. Bright minds, bold opinions, and a touch of morning magic. This is your daily dose of energy.
So grab a cup and join in on the conversation every weekday morning at 8 o'clock with Smell the Coffee, hosted by Diana Master and Aina Riza Quayo. Join us every weekday evening for the Evening Review as we unpack the issues shaping Namibia. From politics and economics to culture and community life, our team delivers sharp analysis, expert insights, and conversations with Namibians across society. It's not just the headlines, it's the full picture. Stay informed and engaged with the Evening Review. And now, here's Ari Hogard with the latest in the world of sports.
The national sports news, and starting off with FIFA World Cup Men's Soccer First, the 2026 tournament. And the big news from the tournament is all three, the co-hosts, now out of the tournament in the round of 16. That is after Belgium beat the USA in the round of 16 in Seattle, and that score was 4-1. Earlier, it was also Canada and Mexico that lost in the round of 16. For Belgium now, they have a tough assignment in the round of 8 in the quarterfinals. They will play against Spain, and it was Spain that got the better of Portugal, and that the score was 1-0, and that quarterfinal will be played on Friday. Moving on to tennis news, it is Wimbledon continuing in London. In the men's side of the draw, it is number 6 seed Taylor Fritz. He's safely through to the next round, and he beat Alex Bublik in 3 sets. And then a good result for Arthur Ferry, and he's through to the quarterfinals, and he beat Grigor Dimitrov, and that was in 5 sets. Arthur Ferry plays under the French and the British flag, and the score there was 7-6 in the 5th set for Arthur Ferry. In the women's side of the draw, Linda Noskova beat Madison Keys by 6-4, 7-6 to advance. And then also a good result for Jasmine Puolini of Italy. She played in the final in 2024, lost in that final, but now have a chance to play in the final again. She's through to the quarterfinals, beating Alex Ayala of the Philippines in 3 sets. Closing off today's international sports news, it is cycling news. So one of the big ones, the biggest one on the cycling calendar, it's the Tour de France. Stage 3 was won by Tadej Pogačar, and he's now also the overall leader. He's got the same overall time than Jonas Vingegaard, but he's put ahead of him, and they leading also on the overall classifications to Remco Evenepoel, that is in the 3rd position by 23 seconds. It was Tadej Pogačar that won stage 3 by 2 seconds over Jonas Vingegaard. Sweltering heat and the temperatures of around about 40 degrees in the Tour de France at the moment. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day. We'll talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. I am Diana Master, and this has been Sunset News. Don't end your day without us.